righty, welcome. Jody, do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
I thought I was, so let me see.
Gave you a minute there, no problem.
Okay. It says I'm sharing, so let me try it one more time. Got it.
Yep.
Here we go.
There we go.
Let's try it one more time.
All right, we're in. So
Awesome.
welcome
Let's do
again, to Integrate Popular Tools with Smart. Really, really excited to be amongst all of you today. I am Mary Beth Jones. I'm the Education Solutions Consultant in the Northeast. I'm also a former second grade teacher, so really, really excited to be amongst all of the educators today and walk you through some of our integrations with our smart software and some of the tools that you might be using every single day. So we also have Jody Bean on the line. Jody, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary Beth. I am Jody Bean, and I am in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a senior professional development specialist for smart technologies. And I am a former classroom teacher, also over 32 years experience. I've, you name it, if you talk to me about it, I've done it. I have been a second grade teacher, a middle school teacher, a high school, a district administrator. I kind of have worn over so many different hats, but when you're in education for over 32 years, it's pretty possible to have so many. And I'm sure we have some people that are going, yep, I've been there, done that. But it's a pleasure to be with you today. So I'm excited to share all the things that Smart can integrate with.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jody. And if you want to go ahead and just jump to the next slide. Just a quick reminder, I was just going to quickly touch on that last one. Nina touched on a bunch of these, but just a quick reminder, drop those questions in there. We have a few folks monitoring that. Don't forget to fill out the survey, and definitely check out the exhibit hall. There's some really great sessions following ours, so just want to make sure that you have a chance to kind of take a peek at the schedule. All righty. Now, this is really going to be a great resource for you going forward. We did try to kind of hyperlink some of the big integrations that we have with some of our smart tools, a couple of which we're really going to be touching on today and taking a deep dive into, including Seesaw, Flipgrid, and Avid. Also, I know Joseph is running a session this afternoon from Tech. Make sure that you hop into that one at 3:30 to talk about some of that Google integration. But kind of to get us started, speaking of Avid, I see that one there on the last thumbnail. Jody, I know you were a former Avid elective teacher. Can you kind of walk us through to kick us off some of that Avid integration?
Absolutely. You know, one of the biggest things that I probably, if I tell people about my educational career, is the opportunity to be part of the Avid family. And if you are part of the Avid family, you know that it definitely is that family feel. I was an Avid elective teacher for many years, and I am still in contact with quite a few of my students who were in my cohorts. But the beautiful thing about Avid is that smart technologies and Avid have joined together to help schools positively impact students in many different aspects. And so, you know, when you bring in the Avid's research-based teaching and learning practices, and then smart technologies, really cool, innovative tools, teachers can start delivering lessons that can impact students and also have the tools to deepen that learning and support student-centered learning in the classroom. Mary Beth is going to put in the chat a link that we have, and I just want to show you what it looks like. We actually have a dedicated website that is Smart in the Avid Classroom, and I want you to be aware of it, because what it is that it really is supporting all things Avid. And so if you are in the eBinder role, you know, especially with this remote learning, we actually have a lot of different resources that are literally at your fingertips on this website. So we have ways that Smart works within whatever workload you're working with, whether you are Microsoft or Google, we have an answer for you. The other thing is that we are aware that many times when you're an Avid school, there's so many other initiatives layered on top. And so we have teaching toolkits that will spark some ideas that will let you bring the different smart tools into the classroom. And then we have resources that are specifically, if you're really driving your instructions with Smart and you're using the smart tools, what does that look like? What can we help you with? We chunk it down into bite-sized tutorials for you, but we have definitely something for everybody inside this Smart in the Avid Classroom website. The other thing that we have is that we have Smart Exchange, and that is our repository of ready-made notebook files or Smart Learning Suite files that you can use directly today in your classroom. And I wanted to show you what that might look like. If you want, I'm just going to pop open what it looks like. So it'll be easy for you guys to find lessons and activities that are already ready for you, ready to go. And if you just go to Smart Exchange, and Mary Beth will put it in the chat. If you go to this website right here, there's actually thousands and thousands of lessons and activities. And if you're looking for lessons for about growth mindset or relationship building, or looking for Cornell note ideas, we have them for you. And all you need to do is put in Avid in the search bar. And what will happen is you will find multiple of activities and files that will help you start bringing in those different research and instructional ideas into your classroom. And it's pretty awesome because it's all connected here onto the Smart and the Avid website. So check it out, look at it, have some fun. But what I would really like to do is turn the time back over to Mary Beth. She's going to tell us how you guys can get involved today with this the activities I'm going to show you while I'm integrating not only Avid instructional strategies, but I also want to show you how we can integrate Flipgrid easily inside Smart Learning Suite Online. And then those of you who are Seesaw, we have a huge community of Seesaw users. I want to share with you how you can also use Smart Learning Suite in those situations too. So Mary Beth, can you help us out?
Absolutely. So we're going to ask all of you to actually join our lesson live today. And you can do so by opening up a new tab in your browser, or if you have a smartphone with you or a second device, feel free to use that. But we're just going to ask you, open up a browser, go to hellosmart.com, and you're just going to join as a guest today. You can just pop your first name in there. And then join with the class code 44720. And Jody has that there on the screen. But really what's going to happen is Jody's going to take us through a lesson on building vocabulary with students. And you're going to then have a chance to see both the teacher side through Jody's shared screen and the student side through your device. So please go ahead, log into the class. From the student perspective, you're really going to be able to see how easy it is for students and teachers to have a workflow. So you're going to join as a guest, make it nice and easy, and you should, I'm going to actually go ahead too and drop that in the chat, hellosmart.com, class code 44720.
And I'm seeing that we have some students entering our class, so thank you so much. And what you'll see is that once you're in my class, you'll see exactly the same screen as what I'm showing you. And on one side, if you look at the screen that I'm sharing right now, on the left-hand side is the student or the teacher perspective. And you'll see that there'll be different tools. And I wanted to split my screen so that you can see the teacher perspective and also the student perspective. And if you're in it in two tabs, or you're just sitting back and relaxing and watching, you're going to get both experiences. So if you're wondering why did Jody split her screen, I can see that I have some students up here in my class management tool. I am so excited that you have joined. So in a second, I'm going to take you through kind of a demo lesson in just a second. Let's let some others join in. Okay. And so what you just did, Mary Beth just shared with you, is for your students to join, you would just have them go to Hello Smart. And when I'm inside Smart Learning Suite Online, which is all cloud-based, it doesn't matter what device my students are on. They can be on any device as long as it has web-based services, right? So I can also pop in and I can share my, hey students, this is how I want you to join at any time. My code doesn't change, so that's kind of nice, is that I can have the same code today, tomorrow, the next day, and my students are already in there. All right, so what I would like for us to do is I am going to share with you how important it is, especially in the Avid world. Vocabulary is really important, and how it impacts, right? Words impact students all the time. Whether we know it or not, we know that vocabulary is a vital skill that students need in their academic growth. So I'm going to integrate Avid, I'm going to integrate Flipgrid, and I'm going to integrate Seesaw into this lesson flow. And I want to show you how easy that is to do. Now, I know Avid teachers spend a lot of time in their cohorts reinforcing the importance of a growth mindset also. So throughout this, all these different social and emotional learning, along with the academic value, is all created inside this one workflow of Smart Learning Suite Online. So I want to share with you an activity, and you notice that on your screen, the student side, you have exactly the same screen, and you notice that you don't have any tools at all, which is also very impactful in a teacher's a teaching and learning environment, in the fact that a teacher sometimes has to give some direct instructions. And so this is a way to have our students kind of, be in tune with what we're saying, what we're doing in the classroom. Now, a couple things I want to point out before we do this. I simply put an image on the page, and I want my students to reflect, think about, and kind of ponder why words have power, or do they have power? And I want them to think of anything that just kind of will spark their learning in our new unit of study. Now, what I wanted to show you is that in a second, right over here in the very bottom, I've added a Flipgrid short. So I created a Flipgrid short inside Flipgrid, and I added the link directly on this page so my students can actually hear what I am looking for and see what I'm asking for and have that visual conceptual understanding of what is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this page into a collaborative workspace. Now on the teacher side over here, notice I have a choice, and I'm going to change it into a collaborative workspace, which means that I want my students to collaborate together. I want them to share ideas. I want to have them evaluate others. I want them to have kind of that social aspect of everybody on the same page and thinking and letting them kind of start constructing their own meaning. Because really what's important here is, how can I help them drive their own learning? And I could potentially put as many up to 9 teams up here, but I'm going to have everyone in my class on the same page. Now, you'll notice that on my side, I have all the tools, and now on the student side, I have 5 different tools that my students can now interact with. I have a pen tool, I have an eraser, I have an image tool, which has a little more in there. And then I have a text tool. So what I'd love for you to do right now is I'd love for you to tell me either in a visual or a text or anything you want, words have powers. How does that feel for you? What does that mean to you? What are you thinking about? All right. And go ahead and put anything on here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add over here, and I can change my font. I can change my size. Notice as we come in, I can see that. Notice that I have a star, a question mark, and an exclamation point. So these are actually infinite clones. So as I see my classmates adding their information, I might be reading about it and going, wow, I really get this. Or maybe I have a question. I can actually add that question mark over to the different contributions. Now, on the teacher side, I am having that visual of who is contributing. And so, of course, accountability and just having the information available is really vital for the teacher. So at any time, I can click on any of the different images, the text, anything that comes onto this page, and I can drop down and I can see who has contributed. So JD, I can make comments, I can give feedback, I could put a digital sticker on here, but I have so many opportunities for my students to engage with each other. And of course, the teacher also engaging and being kind of that, transitional leader and kind of leading the conversation until the students are at that, relational capacity part of being able to kind of draw their own conclusions. So you can see how valuable this workspace is, and notice the Flipgrid short. A student can click on it at any time and go to it and watch it. It opens up in a new tab, but it keeps Smart Learning Suite Online open. And then I can go ahead and watch it, and then I can go back to my Smart Learning Suite Online and continue what I'm doing. So it's really a sweet kind of deal that you can add all these different elements, including the Flipgrid short right there. So, are there any questions so far?
Jody, I'm just going to tap up. I think, too, this is a tool that educators have really always loved, but I think right now, with having flexible learning environments and having students in different locations, it's just really kind of ramped up and really shown the value to have students be able to collaborate. I've actually seen teachers kind of put students in groups and then put them in the same Zoom room or breakout session so that they can collaborate and kind of work on a collaborative workspace together through a video conferencing platform. So there's a lot of flexibility with this, and I just love that you can add the Flipgrid video in here and kind of incorporate that to really enhance the lesson in entirety.
I love that. And I also love the idea that I, as a teacher, can go in and know who has contributed, right? So everybody is accountable. And so as a teacher, I can have those critical conversations. So it's kind of a sweet deal. I love the collaborative workspace. So as we're moving on, one of the things that's really a game changer is that when you're in Smart Learning Suite Online, you can pull in any of your existing content from whatever source you have. So if you have Google Drive or you're a Microsoft user and you have something living in your OneNote, or you have something just living on your device, whether it's a PDF or a PowerPoint or a Google Slide, you can bring those into Smart Learning Suite Online. And that's what I did here. I actually started with this PDF, and I loved it in the fact that it was just very engaging, colorful, and I really wanted my students to really start thinking about what makes them happy. And I want them to start really starting to narrow down what they think makes them, happy, joyful, and I want them to come up with their one word. And so they can fill this page in. And I want to point out one thing. You can add audio, which is such a huge a significant piece of our learning, especially for our early literacy or ELL learners, or really when you're in an asynchronous setting and you're not going home with your student, you would like for your students to be able to listen to the instructions again, maybe a redirection. I know teachers are using this also, the audio, as an extension activity. Like once you're done with this page, I want you to listen to the audio, and then there's the extension activity. So you're really starting to level up what you can do with the audio inside Smart Learning Suite Online. Again, notice on the student side, there are no tools. So I can change this into either a collaborative workspace, which you just experienced, or I can change it into an individual handout. I'm going to go up to the class management tool, and I'm going to change this into an individual handout. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that once a student clicks on it, over here on the teacher side, notice the difference, complete difference. Once a student clicks on that activity, it's going to open up to that page. They're going to get those familiar tools on the left-hand side again. And as a teacher, I am able to see all of my students in one place. So will all line up over here. And what's great is that I can go through and I can drop in to any of my students' workspace. I can give them real-time feedback, which is a valuable strategy for our students that's right here and now, to help redirect them or give them reinforcement. But they also have all those special tools. Now I want to point out something. Look in the upper right-hand corner of the student side. This is a done button. So if I go back over to my side as a teacher, I click done, notice what happens over here on the teacher side. It gives me a check mark. It says done. I can still go into any of my students' workspace or individual handout at any time. And I can drop in and I can give them some feedback, and I can give them a digital sticker. And I'm going to do this for Nick. Um, let's see, I have a whole bunch of digital stickers. I'm addicted to digital stickers, you guys. I am having so much fun with the opportunity to just kind of make some. And I can make a little comment down here, or I can just put it wherever I want, but I can bring in different digital stickers and badges for my students. And I can make some comments on each one of those. Do you have anything to add, Mary Beth, about the individual handouts?
You know what? I think the audio is such a big piece here to be able to add that to the handouts. For elementary school students, sometimes they're just as simple as reading the reading passage out loud. For our ELL students, it's huge. And I know a lot of our foreign language teachers too are just really excited about the audio availability in SLSO. So keep in mind, you can add up to 5 minutes of audio per page, actually. So it's a really, really helpful tool as you navigate through the lesson.
Well, and the other important thing to add to that, Mary Beth, is that you can add audio to every page. It doesn't matter what page it is, right? It can have an audio
Absolutely.
on it. So even if you brought in, like, remember, I brought this in from my Google Slides, and it was living in my Google Slides, and I was able to add audio to it. So it's kind of a cool deal right there.
Absolutely. You can add Google Slides, PDFs, notebook files, PowerPoint. So keep in mind, there's a lot of flexibility with the actual files that you're pulling into this platform.
Before I leave this page right here, I want to point out on the teacher side, at the very bottom, I have my own teacher handout, which is siloed. It does not interfere with any of my students. I can actually, redirect them, and I can pull up my teacher handout, which is exactly like theirs. And I can say, hey, you know what? Don't forget to do this. And I can add my tools, and I can, have all of these different activities right here and do all that. And then I go, okay, we're back. Now, one of the things I want to point out while we're here is that as you've been going through, you will notice that when I move the page, yours does too. The students also move. So you are in what is called student or teacher pacing right now. So when I change, you change. We do have the ability within Smart Learning Suite to change it up here in the class management tool to choose the pacing of to allow your students to go through and have more of their own personalized instruction. They can go back to page one. Maybe there's a YouTube video they need to go back and look at and take notes on for Cornell notes, or maybe they need to go back and finish this PDF that they didn't have time to do. But you can decide when you want to do teacher pacing or you want to do student pacing, and it's right up here in the class management tool. So as we move forward, we've talked about workspaces, we've talked about individual handouts, we've added a Flipgrid short video link on here, but we also know how important it is for students to build their vocabulary and improve all their areas of communication, because when their vocabulary grows, it also grows in their listening skills, their speaking skills, their reading and writing skills. So it's really important to the student's success, and it helps them think and learn about the world around them when they have the vocabulary to support it. So this activity right here, and again, if you click start, notice when I click start on the student side, it is not interfering with anybody else's. Right now, students are playing this game. They're working on their own self-efficacy, which they can play this game over and over and over again. And one of the things I love about the games in here is that my students, no matter where they are, their entry level is, they can do it as many times as they want until they get it right. And this is called a match 'em up game, and you can change the backgrounds. And with our new update that just came yesterday, Mary Beth, I'm so excited about it. You can customize the backgrounds. You can have all sorts of different themes that are related maybe to themes of study that you're working on. But you guys have to check it out. There are so many cool things you can put in your customized background. So
I
students, oh, go ahead, Mary Beth.
No, I was just going to say, I love that you brought that up. I think the former elementary school teacher in me too just gets really excited about things like that. But there are a ton of the pre-made backgrounds, which are a lot of fun, everything from nature and rock bands. But the idea now that you can really customize them is huge. So kind of can
Yeah.
build it along with the content that you're creating and have that go along with it. Definitely a big add for all of our elementary teachers, especially.
And we have 11 different activities, and so that's what's really exciting about this. And again, when we're looking at the instructional strategies and having our students really construct meaning, bringing in the game-based activities along with all the other elements in this workflow, it is one workflow. And you can add this, anything. So like if the students just did a Cornell notes, and you now want to kind of check their understanding of what they have just summarized in their Cornell notes, add a game of the different aspects of what they've been learning. There's just so many possibilities in there. Okay. All right. So moving on from the games, one of the things that we have here is that we can also have our students use a Flipgrid response. Now, I have my Flipgrid open. I'm going to take you there in just a second. But as my students are, thinking about their word, they've developed their word, they've now come to the understanding of what one word really emulates who they are. They're now going to create a visual. And so there's all these opportunities for our students to really, really dive in and go into that deeper learning element. And again, down here, I have the instructions, I have an audio. My students are visual, they're auditory. I have really helped, try to reach all of my students in whatever capacity they are. And notice down here, I have added a Flipgrid link there. And so I'm going to go ahead and convert this again to a handout. And my students will start. Once they start, they have those tools on the left-hand side. They can listen to the audio. They can listen to, or they can pull out the directions. And this is simply just saying, hey, we want you, now that you have your one word, we want you to visualize it. We want you to capture the essence of your word, and we want you to create something that represents you. And then after you're done with that, you're going to explain your connection to your one word, and you're going to share your visual and your connection on your Flipgrid response. And right here, without having students can click right there, it's going to open up in a new tab. And there it is. There's my Flipgrid response. And now simply my students can go right into their response, do what they need to do. One thing I want to point out is that if you are a Flipgrid user and you are creating your topics, this is a topic I have. I also added my Smart Learning Suite online lesson that I just went through. So my students have access to it inside the classroom or outside the classroom. So no matter where they start, whether they start in Smart Learning Suite online and we do some direct instructions first, and then we start all these activities, and then they move into Flipgrid, we can work that way. But let's say the workflow is opposite and they start in Flipgrid, they can do that too. And right here is the connection, and students would just log in, and now they have access to the exact same pages that they had when we were in Smart Learning Suite online together. What do you think about that, Mary Beth?
This is huge. Just to have all the tools able to integrate, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing for teachers is not only to have the tools, but have them be able to work in conjunction with one another.
Right. And the other important thing is that my students, no matter where they are, they could be in Smart Learning Suite online, they can click done. And now I can come back in. Now, if I close out this lesson and I go away and I have to come back, tomorrow we can start and regroup and do it again. We can open up this lesson, do it again with our students, and continue. So this isn't just a one-day lesson. This could go on for a couple days. But my students have access to all the tools they need, and it's integrated all in one workflow, which is wonderful. All right, so I'm going to move on past this page right here, and we're going to actually switch gears and go into how this can work with Seesaw. Now, Seesaw is very similar in the fact that you can add different links. What I did here, and I'm just going to pull this over, is we have this really fun game called Flip Out. And what I want to do is I created these, and you can have, it's like a deck of cards. So you can think of so many different ways, depending on what your grade level is and what your focus of study is. But I like to create flip out cards as task cards or a choice board. And so I've created, a direction card. So pick 4 tasks complete and then share your work in Seesaw. And my students have access. Seesaw is a great home to school connection. They have this activity, and there's so many ways that they can use this activity. And then they can pick different cards that they want to do. Now, let's say we're going to do these different cards, and they can decide how they want to do this in class, or if it's remote, maybe they're doing an interactive notebook. Maybe you have an e-binder that they're supposed to write the responses in. But you can have all these modalities together in one place. And so now I'm going to show you what that looks like over in Seesaw. And I'm going to actually expand my page. And when you go into Seesaw, let me move that over. Um, let's see if I can find my Seesaw. Let's see, I better go ahead and log in.
Yeah, and while you're getting that started, Jody, one of the things too to keep in mind, I know you mentioned this, but these tools can be used synchronously or asynchronously. So it just makes it a really great flexible learning tool. You can post things like this to your Google Classroom, or if you're a Microsoft district, pop that in your Microsoft Teams for students to do for homework and turn back in. Or if you're in a live setting like we are now, it's a great tool to use and be able to give live feedback.
I love that. Right. Okay. So here we are. We're in Seesaw. And if you're a Seesaw user, this is going to look really familiar. I have already pulled up one of the activities that I had that's going to be connected to that task board. I created this one words motto page in Seesaw, and it says, share one thing you learned about the power of the words. Now, I also have created my Smart Learning Suite online, the same exact lesson that I just took you through. There's a link to it right here in Seesaw. So again, that home to school connection. So if my students in Seesaw are having, they're like first grade, second grade, maybe even kinders, they can have their parents help. They have access. They can get into the Smart Learning Suite online lesson. They can do the match them up vocabulary game. Maybe it's on, multiples of 5 and multiples of 7. It can be anything you want it to be. Now, what I did here is that when I added the Smart Learning Suite Online link, I'm going to actually take you back into Smart Learning Suite first. Let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and leave my lesson right over here in the upper left-hand corner. Sorry about that. In the left-hand corner, I'm going to show you how easy it is to get a link from Smart Learning Suite Online and send it to either Flipgrid or into Seesaw or into, even if you use Canvas, you can also do this too. I'm going to click on the hamburger. I call it the hamburger. I don't know. Mary Beth, what do you call it? The 3 lines?
Call it the pancake menu. A little short
The
stack
pancake.
there.
We all have our different names. I don't
Isn't
know
that
about the
funny?
3 lines, the 3 dots. I call that the snowman. I don't know. It's the elementary teacher in me. So right over here, we're going to go to the hamburger or the pancake. And you have a multitude of things that you can do. You can go back and edit your lesson if you need to go back and change or add something. Or I can go here and share. I also want to make a point that you also can make a copy. So if you're like an Avid elective teacher or a social studies teacher or a math teacher, and you have multiple periods, you can actually copy your Smart Learning Suite online and make multiple copies for each one of your classes. But I'm going to go here to the share. A window's going to open right up here, and these are different links. So be aware that if you want to share with your colleagues, here is this one right here. You can go ahead and just copy that. But then down below, you have the lessons, the students can access this lesson and work at their own pace. So you could put it in your Google Classroom. You could put the link inside there. We integrate beautifully with Google Classroom, don't we, Mary Beth?
Absolutely.
And then you can also put it in Seesaw. You can put it in Flipgrid. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link right there. I am going to go back to my Seesaw. Right here, I'm going to do an assigned activity. I'm not going to take you all the way through the process because you probably already know this, but if you want to create a new activity, just open. And then you do your magic right up here, give all your instruction, whatever you want to do that Seesaw way. But this is how I added it. I clicked right here where it says add template or student responses. And then I have a variety of different tools I can use, and I want to actually link. Once I do that, all I need to do here is paste my link in that window. And there's my lesson. And then from this point, I actually can add different elements, as you know, in Seesaw right on top of here. I can put that question that I want right on top of here. And that's how easy it is to integrate into Seesaw. And then when my students, either if they start in Smart Learning Suite Online or if they start in Seesaw, they have access to all the tools to be successful in their learning. I'm going to click right there. And of course, that will be where it is right down here. And then I'll fill that in. And now I've created a new activity in Seesaw. It's just that easy. It's so simple.
Yeah, it really is that easy. And Smart Learning Suite Online really does complement Seesaw with the tools that Seesaw doesn't have, right? Such as the games, the ability to create those infinite cloners. It's really a seamless collaboration workspace for students to kind of put their ideas together and really learn from each other. So having those two kind of work hand in hand, I think really only adds an extra element for students.
Exactly. So, Mary Beth, you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, this is that landing page. It's a really, really helpful tool for you to kind of go through. There's some great videos linked here, some resources. If you have any questions about any of these, of course, we're utilizing Zoom today. Um, we'd love to kind of walk you through how Zoom works on our panels. We could definitely talk about how we work with Google and with Microsoft as well. Again, Joseph, I know is doing a session, Joseph from Tech, this afternoon at 3:30 on the Google integration piece. That'll be a really great place for you to come and learn how to take these lessons, how to share them in your Google Classroom, how to deliver them right from your Google Drive. And we hope that you had a chance today to see our Seesaw, our Flipgrid, and our Avid integration. Jody, did you go ahead and just pop that one more time in the chat, just so folks have that kind of at the forefront there with the link to explore after this?
I do. And then I also
Perfect.
added a couple links about, we have a Smart Learning Suite online teacher guide that is absolutely wonderful. And it's bite size. It has videos, it has how to's, and it's dedicated to teachers. So you're not going to get the technical pieces of it. You're going to go through. One of the things I want to point out, and I'm going to bring these in here, is I want to go back to Smart Learning Suite online, and I'm going to go back to the hamburger, and I'm going to end my lesson, because I want to share with you what it looks like when you're in Smart Learning Suite online. Because as of yesterday, we had a really huge new update. It was kind of like Christmas. There's so many fabulous things for you to get started. If you're just learning or dabbling into Smart Learning Suite online, I highly recommend that you come in here and you just go into suite.smarttech.com, and we'll put that in the chat for you to explore. It's free. So you can come in now and you can explore all the resources. But if you click on this training site right here, which is going to be here all the time, and if you click on it, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And what's wonderful about this is that it takes you through 5 easy steps. How to get started. Like, hey, remember, I started with existing content. I started with that PDF, What Makes You Happy. And I'm looking at all the things that you have in Avid, from myavid.org, your PowerPoints, you have your PDFs. What if you use those and bring them in and add engagement into those? Or if you're looking at this and you're thinking, how can I bring in Flipgrid or Seesaw? Start here and then add the links into Flipgrid or Seesaw. But as you go through your journey, there's a really quick, less than 2-minute video on how to use it, how to do it, and then you learn how if you're not quite sure. And it takes you through getting started, how to enhance and layer the things that you already have. How do you deliver to your students? Like, how do I connect devices or add that really valuable tool, which is just a blank whiteboard space, which is huge for brainstorming too, right? Or if you're all of a sudden in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. You have a whiteboard space at your disposal. You don't have to go out anywhere else. It all lives in Smart Learning Suite online. And then as you go through, we already shared with you how to do a collaborative workspace and an individual handout. And we also shared with you, how do you share a link with teachers and how do you share a link with students, where you can access and integrate other tools with Smart Learning Suite online. And so it really is a one-stop shop, right, Mary Beth?
It is, and I think it's important to note too, with this update and kind of the new releases in our software, everyone can have access. So I really encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to play around with it yet, go ahead on there. You'll have the ability to, create these lessons, share them out to with your students, and really the best way to learn is by doing. So really, really encourage you to go ahead and pop in there. If you have questions once you start, reach out to your tech reps, reach out to us. We're always happy to hop on a quick call and kind of walk you through some of these.
You're in good hands. Believe me, you are in good hands. And I'm so excited to be able to share this really exciting piece of educational tools that are life-changing for students. I love the activities, and I love that I can engage with my students, especially if they're face-to-face or remote. It doesn't matter. My workflow stays the same, and it's less stress for me that I don't have to figure out what to do when I'm face to face, figure out what to do when I'm remote. It all can live together with all the different integrated tools that you have.
Absolutely. And even if you are accustomed to Smart Learning Suite Online and you kind of are a power user of this, with these new updates, really hop in there and kind of explore some of those resources that are there. There's some really exciting updates that were just released. So just want to make sure that you are aware that those are in there. So definitely take a peek.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.